My work focuses on the detection of gravitational waves. And what we do is we build detectors that tries to detect these gravitational waves.
As the visualization scientist for the Spitzer project, my domain, if you will, is all of the visual side of our science communication. That ranges from taking the data that comes from the Spitzer spacecraft and rendering that into the color imagery that we release for the public, but also is taking science concepts that aren't present in our imagery directly and coming up with designs that will help us visually communicate the science that comes out of the project. In a sense, I think it was always my passion to be an astronomer, but it really took me until I got to grad school that I had the realization that, maybe you should just go for your dream and do the thing that really you feel the passion for and let that carry you forward and, sort the details out later.
I work at Microsoft in the Microsoft Business Division, so when a new version of Office comes out, I'm one of the people who actually makes this stuff work.
28-volt battery being developed for the astronaut EVA suit portable life support system. And I'm performing a thermal analysis on the battery housing and assembly, and also contributing to the design of the battery assembly.
For the Cold Atom Laboratory. It will be studying things called cold atoms.
Sort of because I was, coming of age in this lab where everything was okay. It was a no-brainer. I had very little trouble coming out. In fact, there was nothing even said much.
I checked the diversity policy, and it was right there that gender identity and gender expression were explicitly named. I have 3 patent cubes sitting on my desk right now that I'm really proud of, and I don't think any of those patents would have been issued if I lost my job. That's my own invention. And I think every morning when I go into work, I'm particularly proud that I made the journey, the company supported me, and I'm repaying that. You want to perform when your company tells you that you're important to them.
Maybe you should just go for your dream and do the thing that really you feel the passion for and let that carry you forward and, sort the details out later when you get there. For me, that worked really, really well. I suppose in a lot of ways that I had to go through the same realization about, my own orientation as well, just came a little later in life that I got to the point where I was ready to face that and deal with it. I think any kind of progressive society that is really moving to embrace the civil liberties of its entire population, it has to reach each of these mileposts, in turn. And so that NASA is now making that part of its policy, I think, has made me very proud to be a part of it.
The benefits I've experienced in working in an environment that celebrates diversity is that because of our diversity, of our backgrounds, our cultures, educations, ages, we are able to come up with more creative solutions to our challenges at NASA. And I feel like I learn something new all the time when I talk to people and work with people from different backgrounds.
I have a picture of my partner, and sometimes I think people self-censor at the laboratory when they're not out yet. That's something I think that every gay person struggles with. How far to come out? What does that mean to me? I have struggled with that over the years, and I think I'm in a very comfortable place now. We have an organization here at the laboratory called Spectrum. It's LGBT focused, so lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender
These
focused.
phones are the best phones we have ever created.
Tim Cook, the CEO of the most valuable corporation in the world, announced recently, "I'm proud to be gay." In an essay published in Bloomberg Businessweek, he says that it isn't something he's ever hidden, and many of his colleagues at Apple have known for some time. He notes that they never treated him differently and expresses how grateful he is to be surrounded by such creative and innovative people.
Well, diversity and inclusion is right there. It will help facilitate that because, when I think about diversity and inclusion, I think about diversity, first of diversity of thought. And we all run complicated businesses. complicated business, and it's changing all the time. And the one thing I do know is that not one person has the right answer, and it's inevitable. What I've learned through my years of experience is that it's best to get people sitting around the table, as an example, that come from different perspectives, different backgrounds, different cultures, to ultimately vet it and get to the right conclusion. So diversity of thought is powerful. But the reason why we talk a lot about inclusion is I think the most powerful part of diversity and inclusion is that it drives engagement. It really is so important because, coworkers want to have a sense of belonging. They want to know that their perspectives are being heard, but not just being heard, they're being acted on. And so when you do that, you really release this passion, this, pardon the pun, this energy which is pent up inside them. So it matters. And when you have engagement, when you have an engaged group of coworkers, you're going to drive innovation. You're going to drive a relentless focus on improving your operations, and ultimately, what we're all in the business to do is, we're all in the customer business in some form or fashion. We're going to derive superior solutions for our customers. And so I tell them the why. I tell them why diversity and inclusion matters from a business perspective, and that they are part of the answer. They're part of the culture, and that's going to be part of our culture.
Because if we don't use diversity and inclusion, probably we would lose most of the talent that we acquired. One of my colleagues in the table was asking me, what was your last acquisition? I said, we made a lot. The last 5 years we have acquired a lot of companies. We don't buy products or technology only, we buy people, okay? And their talent. And if you buy that and you lose them, probably you lose most of the money you paid for the company. So we had to retain people, and to retain people, we had to make sure we have a new culture in BSF, and diversity and inclusion has been instrumental to achieve this.
I'm Ellen Ochoa, Director of the NASA Johnson Space Center. I want you to know that here at Johnson Space Center, teamwork is one of our greatest assets. And that means we value the skills and talents of every individual, regardless of differences, including sexual orientation or gender identity.
We're really fortunate to work in a field like that, where we can have that kind of meaning added into our lives, especially in a time of great uncertainty for so many others. I've been extremely lucky. I think if I reflect on my career, luck's played a big role. I've been most fortunate working at two of the coolest research outfits ever in computing. IBM Advanced Computing Systems back in the 1960s, and then, of course, Xerox Palo Alto Research Center in the 1970s. At both places, I was lucky to have some cool ideas beamed down to me and be in a team environment where other people were getting great ideas, and you could work together to really make those things happen. And so, sure, there's preparation and hard work, but sometimes you just have to be in a place where there's gold to be found, and when you see it, know what it is and really go for it. As I look back on all this, I do so with actually quite a sense of wonder. Especially in my transition, I think that there was hardly any knowledge in our society even about the existence of transgender identities. And I think, a lot of that's really hit now, because those parents who have transgender children are discovering that if they release that valve, if they let the person blossom into who they need to be, they often see just remarkable flourishing of life force. The idea of the wild garden is to move away from cultivated gardens, but some of it's channeled architecturally to support our emotional and social interests. And of course the muskrats over there, they've dug their little holes in the side they can swim in and out of. The pond's got muskrats. And they're creating their own little world, you see, in the same wild garden. I guess reflecting back, I've always kind of felt like a weed in a wild garden. Felt like not fitting into a formal garden, but finding it fun to be out there where I can explore and wander.
Sometimes I think it's harder if you think about how you're different, and you can think that maybe being different is bad. Being different is great, and you should really rejoice in those differences, and you should realize that whoever you are, whatever you bring, it's important, and that you are necessary.